Hello, the subject of this video lesson is an HTML page called ArrayDemo.html. And as the name of the file says, an important thing is to study what are JavaScript arrays like. And in addition to this, we will study for loops and we will study the pre-element. And this page, ArrayDemo.html, it looks like this. Well, there isn't really much to see there. There is just a list of numbers, and that is actually the content of the array that is created in the page. So if you want to find this file, you first go to the naturalprogramming.com and go then to the web programming page, which looks like this, and then you open this simple HTML pages, and there you will find this ArrayDemo.html. But it's also important that when you download this, and if you work with this locally, you have to download also this from this importables folder. You have to download this printf.js. It contains a JavaScript function that works like the old C function called printf, and it is quite useful sometimes. So in any case, I have already downloaded it, and the page is shown here. And let's take a look at the source code. In the source code of the page, I have the usual things at the beginning and some comments there, and I have this style definition centered, and well, it is just a centered div in this page, and the font family is monospace there, and that means that the characters will have all equal width there. And the font size is made with a percentage, and then background color is light yellow and the border is black. This editor which I'm using here is called Microsoft Visual Studio Code, which is a free editor, and the editor seems to be able to show these colors here, so they are not part of the actual text. And here, as the comment says here that next we import JavaScript code that allows us to use a function named printf, which works in the same way as corresponding functions in the C language or the string.format method of Java. So some of you might be familiar with this kind of printing, and we will be using this printf method. We don't have to know how it is implemented actually. And we have then, here starts the body of the page, and there is only one div there, and that is this div centered. So it is this yellow thing here, is that div, and inside the div element we create those numbers that are shown there. And as the comment says, we use JavaScript inside the div element. So this JavaScript is executed there, and actually what is happening here is that we write this write the HTML code with JavaScript. So the JavaScript, or we can say that the JavaScript that is here will generate the HTML code for this div element. And it works so that we use this document.write function. So with this document.write function, we can output all these strings, and it works as if they were written with the HTML. And and there is only one single pre-element there. And the pre-element is such that it means pre-formatted text. And it means actually that because normally, for instance, if we have a paragraph on a page, it is so that the paragraph is or we can actually write the paragraph here. Let's try it. What happens if I write a paragraph here? I'm just writing. Let's try this one. I will save it and let's reload the page. So you can see that, for instance, some nonsense here. So this work. This in here, the text begins here. The second line begins with the word just, some nonsense here, and so the text is formatted so that as the browser thinks best. But if I'm then using the if I convert this to a pre-element, let's see what happens. Sorry. If I convert it to pre-element, so it is the text is now as it is written there. So, for instance, that because there are some spaces here, the same spaces appear as well here. So this pre-formatting means that the text appears on the page exactly as it is written in the HTML code, with all the spaces and line breaks and so on. So that's pre-formatted text. And sometimes it is useful to use this text. For instance, when you want to write a nice or if, for instance, if you want to write the contents of an array, like I have done here. So this is pre-formatted text. I'll take this out. This was just an experiment. But now I'm producing the pre-formatted text with this document.write function. And I'm first here creating an array of integers, and then I'm just printing the content of that array to the screen. So there would be, it would be if I would want to produce this text to the screen, or I will reload it. So if I would want to produce this text to the screen, there would be much more easier ways to do it. But here I'm just demonstrating how I can use an array and how the content of the array can be printed. So here first I'm creating an array that has a single element, and that element is 333. And I use brackets there. If I would use here empty brackets, then I would create an array that has no elements. So, but this creates an array that has only one element, and the value of the element is now this 333. And then the program continues. I'm using this push method here. I'm using the push method, and I'm pushing the value 33 to the array. So you can see actually the printed array is actually shown here. So the array is here, so you can see that the first value is 333 and the second is 33. And then the next statement is using a method called concat. So that means that I concatenate two arrays. So I have already the array that has these two elements. I have this array that has these two elements, and then I use this concat function or method to concatenate the existing array and this array that contains the value 3. And then, therefore, the resulting array has the content of these 3 elements. And again, I'm using the push method. And now I'm using the push method so that I take the value in index position 2. So with this I refer to the index position 2, and the indexing starts from 0, so I'm referring to the third element of the array. And then I'm adding 2 to that value, and then I get the value 5, and I push this value to the end of the array. So now the array has these 4 elements. And then I start indexing. And I define an index variable, integer index, and I set it to 0. Well, this might not be necessary here, but I do it. And then I use a for loop. It's a conventional for loop. It's a similar for loop as in other languages. So this for loop, it is such that, so this is the thing that we do first at the beginning, or once at the beginning, and this is the thing, or the condition, that how long we are going to repeat the internal statements of the loop, and this is a statement that is executed always after the internal statements of the loop have been executed once. So what I'm doing here is that the first index is 3, and the last used index will be 48. So with the index 3, I refer to this 0, 1, 2, 3. I refer to this element, and so I refer to this element, and I convert this element to number. So there was a strange, because when I was making this program, for some reason, sometimes this program didn't work well without converting this element to a number. So I convert it to, or ensure that it is a number, and then I add 2 to it. So during the first execution of this loop, or the internal statement of the loop, I add 2 to the value 5 and I get 7. So I push this element with value 7 to the end of the array. So after this loop, or this internal statement of the loop has been executed once, we have this array that has now 5 elements. And the program execution continues then, so that always the current or the value specified by the index is taken from the array, and then a 2 is added to the value, and that value is pushed to the end of the array. So the last index that will be used is 48, so then we will refer to this value and we create the value 97 and add that to the end of the array. So with method push, with this push method, we can add new elements to the end of the array, and the length of the array grows automatically. So in JavaScript, the arrays, there is no need to specify a length for an array like in other languages, and in the JavaScript, arrays are more like lists that you can also insert values into the middle of the list and so on. So then I have this other loop here that produces the output. I'm again using this document write. Here I print this one line of text, and I can use the new line character. When I'm using the new line characters, they are interpreted as new lines in the output on the page. So this for loop that I'm using here, it is a little bit different, so that it's not the traditional for loop. So I have written, I first say that there is this integer index, and then I use the keyword in, and then I have the array name there. So what happens here is that this integer index is getting all the values, index values for all elements of the array, and the processing of the array starts from the beginning of the array. So in practice, this means that all elements of the array are printed. So and the printing of an element happens here. Document.write is again used, and then now I'm using this mysterious printf method or function, and that actually works so that I'm using this format specifier, and this format specifier specifies here that I'm printing each element of the array in a printing field that is 5 character positions wide. So all these elements, they are printed. So this is, for instance, this here is 5 character positions wide, and all the elements, they are printed to the right justified in these printing fields. And this % sign here just specifies here that we are having a format specifier. So in practice, the value, or this refers to one element in the array, and so this value is printed in place of this format specifier here. Or actually, it's not printed, but this printf method returns a string that is then printed or output with the document write method. And there's also this feature here that I want to have these new lines. So I'm checking with this expression. I'm checking that this is true, or this is the the percent sign here is remainder operator, so that the remainder operator tests that what is the division remainder if this integer in the where divided by 10. It doesn't divide the index, but it just tests that what would be the remainder of the operation. And well, this whole condition then is that if the remainder, that always when the remainder when divided by 10 is 0, this statement will be executed. So this statement will be executed when the integer index is 0, or when it is 10, or when it is 20, or when it is 30, and when it is 40. And that way we can print a new line after 10 elements have been printed to the screen. And the new line means that we get a new line here. So there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 values on each line in the window. So this other for loop just prints the contents of the array, and the final thing we have to do here is that we need to end this pre-element. So we write the closing tag for the pre-element. Yes. So in summary, it is important to realize that there are two different kinds of for loops in JavaScript. There is a traditional for loop like this. Well, this is a traditional for loop where you have 3 values there, or 3 things inside these parentheses. And then there is the other for loop that can be used always when you want to process an entire array. When you want to process an entire array from the beginning to the end. So then the other for loop is very useful. And arrays, there are many methods. We have been using the method push here. Actually, this editor seems to show some documentation of the method. So we have been using the push method, and we have been using the concat method here. So there are many other methods related to which you can use with arrays. So if we go, let's go and take a look at this web programming page. I have here a link. I have a link here, JavaScript reference, and there is also quite at the beginning there is this array reference, array object reference, and there you can see, I will not try to explain everything here, but for instance you can see the methods that can be used for arrays. So we were using this concat method, and we were using this push method. but there are many other methods. For instance, with the push method you can put a thing, put an element to the end of an array, and with the pop method you can take that element out of the array. With the shift element you can remove the first element of the array and return that. But this was just one look at JavaScript arrays. An important thing is also that the JavaScript arrays can contain strings and many other kinds of objects, and you can also mix. We have various things in the single JavaScript array. Well, I hope that this is a useful example for you. Well, basically the page itself is not useful at all, but it says something about JavaScript arrays. So I thank you for your interest in this video, and I will probably meet you in some other video. So thank you and goodbye.